viewers would know that we've been investigating the correlation between 4G, 5G, the contents of the injections, and COVID, as well as the myriad of illnesses and excess mortality following the injection rollout. Anders Brunstad is a researcher who's been delving into this topic in great detail, and he has some fascinating data to share with us from across the world relating to the illnesses and mortality seen at the time of upgrades to the 4G, 5G, and beyond networks.
I founded a kind of research organization called INRI, the Independent Narrative Research Initiative. And we are looking into the history of electromagnetic frequency, what it is meaning in the historical terms of diseases and correlations. So the first, let's say, event was when they launched the telegraph. Then there was a lot of mental disorders. Then you had the launch of the electrification in 1890. Then happened what was the first virus, they claimed. Retrospectively, they said there was a virus. Then came the Spanish flu. At the time, nobody talked about the virus. That idea came in later. What we do know is that it was 23 experimental Rockefeller-funded vaccines containing toxic chemicals and metal powder of copper, aluminium, and possible iron. And it was also chemical warfare agents during the First World War. And it was a very strong, powerful AM or shortwave radio being launched.
Right.
So you had a combination of toxic plus radiation. So it is that is 1918-20. We have a very strong Asian flu, which killed more than 1 million, which they say was a virus, in 1957. At the time, they launched the microwave and also these radio links, the microwave for TVs.
Yes.
And 11 years later, they launched 23 strong communication satellites, and another 1 million or so human were killed.
Mm-hmm.
So each of these events have been falsified, claimed to be a virus, while we can see the EMF. So when you talked about the bees and insects, so when they launched the in Scandinavia, they launched it in 2000. Most other countries launched the 3G in 2003. And it was in 3 different, let's say, phases, rather weak, medium, and strong. So during a 7 years period, let's say, a lot of the insects died.
Right.
So the so-called swine flu, which we were told that we had in 2009, 10, 11, where WHO claimed there was a new attack of a virus, the swine flu. That was the period where they launched the 4G.
Yeah.
And when you go into the next phase, the faster 4G with 2 antennas in the phone, then we had the H1N1 flu, they claim.
Right.
And then in between 1st of November and the end of 2019, they put on 10,000 5G antennas in Wuhan. And then we got the COVID-19, which is then a set of symptoms of a disease, which they claimed was a virus. And it was made a fake Nature publication by Wu et al., dated 3rd of February 2020. And a fake PCR paper connected to that by Christian Drosten, all based on fake science.
Yes.
So the West decided to delay the launch of the 5G till about mid-March 2020. And we could see, if you go into statistics in a very detailed way in those cities where it was mostly launched, you will find that it was not just an increase of death, but it was also found massive death of birds in Europe. at the same time.
Right.
So now recently we see the Starlink satellites being used in rural places, like in the mountains of Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. And these are antennas, like a hub, and they connect to the Starlink satellites. And recently they find that it's killing animals up to a 5-kilometer radius. So what is going on right now is, unfortunately, that the phone companies and iPhone, etc., Apple, they are now doubling the radiation from new generation phones. You go from 3 to 5 antennas and higher frequency, and we get more and more radiation, and we also get more and more chemical poison and graphene everywhere. And there are other, let's say, very dangerous types of radiations, like Mark Steele referred to in the street lights and
Yes.
scanners. And we know about the electric cars. I mean, when you sit there, you are into a super magnetic field. And at home, you have now smart TV and ultra fast broadband. So what we talked about earlier, we have seen excess mortality, and it didn't start in COVID. It started, I would say, in 2011 from 4G. And it started earlier with the insects and birds. And what is now the situation is that we can see out of these statistics that it is reasonable to say that these jabs with hydrogel and, let's say, these graphene quantum dots structures,
Yes.
these are then acting as a transistor and beaming not only you, but the people around you. So if you sit together with 10 people, you may get 10 times more radiation than if you're alone. The graphene quantum dots, they are a superconductor, they are a battery, and they are transistor, which change an incoming 2 to 4 gigahertz from 4G, 5G to 2 to 4 terahertz. So this is quite dramatic for the body to have such radiation sources inside your body.